So you've got an amazing game idea. You've opened up your game engine, you created a new project, and now you're just stuck. You're wondering, what do I do first? Do I build a level? Do I code player movement, make placeholder art? It all feels overwhelming at first. Hi, I'm Josh, and today we're breaking through the starting paralysis of your project. I'll take you through and show you a simple step-by-step plan to take your game idea from blank screen to playable prototype. Now, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to start and how to move forward. So let's get to it. The hardest part of game development is often just figuring out where to begin. Do you start with the player's mechanics, build a level, design a UI? The options feel endless, and without a clear plan, you can get stuck. So why does this happen? First, it's because there's no obvious process to follow. Second, it's tempting to skip to the fun parts like art or menus before you've laid down the foundation. And third, there's the fear of wasting time on something that might be scrapped later. Well, there's good news. You're not alone, and there is a clear place to start. So let's figure it out together step by step. The first step is to define your game's core idea. Every game starts with a core idea. This is the foundation of everything that you're going to build. To define it, you're going to ask yourself three simple questions. Who is the player? What do they do? And why is it fun? For this video, let's use a 2D platformer as our example. The idea is a 2D platformer where the player controls a robot that duplicates itself to solve puzzles and overcome obstacles. It's simple, clear, and defines the core experience of the game. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a moment to write down your own core idea. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to describe the heart of your game. Let's make sure that this is really small, so that way we can get through this together. The second step is to break your game down into key components. So once you've defined your core idea, the next step is to break it down into very manageable parts. And I recommend dividing these into three different categories. The first category is core gameplay system. This is the primary mechanic of your game. So for our robot platformer, it's the duplication mechanic, where you're creating clones to press switches and to block hazards. The second category is supporting systems, and these are features that enhance the gameplay, like a puzzle reset button or a UI to track how many duplicates you can actually create. And then the third category is placeholder content. This is basic temporary visuals or sounds that represents the game's look and feel. And for now, squares for the robot and duplicates, and then we're going to use simple blocks for platforms, and those are more than enough for what we need right now. Your first focus should always be the core gameplay system. Supporting systems and visuals can wait, so I want you to write down 3 to 5 components your game will need and circle the one that matters the most. So the third step is to build a playable prototype. Now it's time to bring your idea to life with a prototype. A prototype is a basic, unpolished version of your game that tests your gameplay system. So for our robot game, the prototype will include a square representing the robot, a button to spawn a duplicate, and a simple pressure plate that opens a door when activated by the duplicate. It's rough, but it works, and that's the point of a prototype. Test the core mechanic first before worrying about anything else. So the next step is to create small, achievable goals. Once you've built your prototype, break down your next steps into small, actionable goals. This can keep you focused and helps make sure that your progress is going forward without feeling overwhelmed. So let's talk about some example goals for the robot game. We want to be able to add the ability to spawn a duplicate at the robot's position. We want to make the duplicate collide with switches, and we want to add a system to track the number of duplicates allowed. Now, by focusing on one task at a time, you'll see progress quickly, and each step will bring your game closer to completion. Step 5. Let's go ahead and talk about testing, learning, and adjusting. Now that your prototype is running, it's time to test. You want to play your game and ask yourself a couple of questions. The first question is, does the duplication mechanic feel fun? Is it intuitive to use? If something feels off, tweak it. For example, in our robot game, maybe the duplicates need to spawn closer to the player. Adjust one thing at a time and test again. Iteration is how great games are made. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about some common pitfalls to avoid. The first one is spending too much time on visuals or polish before mechanics are even functional. The second thing is trying to implement all features at once instead of focusing on the core gameplay system. And then thirdly, starting with an idea that's too ambitious for your skill level or resources. So remember, it's better to have a simple, fun prototype than an overly complex game you'll never finish. Every game that you've ever played started as a rough prototype, and the most important thing is to start small. Focus on your idea and then build from there. So now it's your turn. Write your game's core idea, build that first prototype, and share your progress in the comments below or on our Discord channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more practical game development tips. So remember, your game doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to start. So take the first step today.